And then it got wild. Like we were so drunk, and then he arranged for someone else to come and basically fuck me in front of him.
Would you rather pay on the first date or have sex on the first date?
I'd rather have sex.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I have a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we like to talk about all things dating and relationships to see what we can do to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome Leila to the show. Leila, welcome.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah.
Are you ready for today? This is her first podcast.
Yeah, literally.
She's like, I have no idea what to expect.
I have no idea what's going to happen.
What's going on? All right, well, let's. I always like to jump in. So let's start with tell us your age or your age range if you don't want to tell us your age. And then one thing a guy should know about you if he wanted to take you on a date.
Well, I'm 29.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm sort of going into the 30s now. A guy should know that, I don't know, I'm just like a fun, interesting person. Yeah. So I think a guy has got to have like his head screwed on to be with someone like me.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know. I can keep. I feel like I'm one of those people who can keep you on your toes.
Oh, in a good way or like a
in a good way? In a good way. But yeah, like I just feel like a guy needs to. They need to not be insecure. You know,
not be insecure. Have you had like guys like that in the past with you when you're like, oh, they can't really handle what you're bringing, or?
Yes and no. I mean, like I've dated guys in the past that were a bit insecure, but like for the line of work that I do now as well, it's gonna be quite hard for someone.
What line of work do you do? You have to tell us.
I work for Babestation.
Babestation. I was saying before, that was a blast from the past. I didn't even know that was still a thing. Is that still like?
Yeah, it's really good. Like, there's a lot of people that use it still. Like,
right. Have you ever gone on a date from a guy who met you through work?
No.
Would you?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Depends.
I kind of feel like the kind of guy that, I guess, I don't know what kind of guy you're looking for, but I guess the kind of guy that you'd want probably wouldn't be calling into Babestation, or would he?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. What I mean?
Yeah, I don't. I could be wrong.
I don't know what your clientele is.
Yeah. I don't think they would be, but
that's so interesting. How did you get into Babestation? How did that come about?
It's a funny story, really. Like me and a couple of friends like signed up to like not Babestation. It was like another like cam site.
Okay.
And then like I was getting messages and stuff. And then Babestation just like came to me like through Instagram, and they were like, oh, do you want to try working in studio sort of thing? So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. Like
let someone else take care of the production value.
Yeah,
I'll just show up and just wiggle that remote, wiggle that phone.
Exactly, it just hit off.
Did you find Babestation kind of more fun than the cam work you did before, or is it more or less
Babestation brings me more money than that site. Yeah, like I feel like that site was like a little stepping stone, like a little taste into the industry. Yeah, and then obviously like because Babestation's like massive, everyone knows Babestation.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah.
That's so interesting. What's the best part of your job for you? What's the most fun part? Apart from being paid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the earnings are like endless. It's like you can earn like so much doing it. But like, I think it's like a fact that like for a girl as well, like you can just be pretty, be yourself, like just let your personality like shine through the camera, and it's just like just getting paid to like be me. And like I am a very sexual person, so I feel like that line of work just suits me. Yeah, I get you. And what have guys been like when you've started dating them and they've been like, yeah, I do Babestation? Imagine a guy's like, oh my gosh, I spoke to you the other week. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because like obviously some guys can't deal with that. Yeah, it's like I don't know, I kind of now feel like I'm limited to like the sort of guys I can date.
In what sense? I don't disagree with you, but in what sense do you mean?
I mean, like some guys just take that as like a put off, like especially with like other things, like, you know, I've got OnlyFans going on, and like if you do like collabs and like you'll end up like sleeping with other people, like for work and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I have to have like a very open relationship with someone now.
Okay. So you definitely do that kind of work in terms of like sleeping with other people on camera for content and stuff like that.
I mean, there is an element of that. I'm not like heavily into that right now, but I feel like, you know, if it does happen, like Babestation is my main line of work at the minute.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, obviously Babestation, you don't have to do anything with anyone. It's all just behind the screen. But like there is times where I have worked and like shot like porn shoots and stuff like that. So, you know.
Interesting. Because I think, do you get why maybe some guys would be like, I can't be with a girl who does that? Of course,
yeah. But I don't know, it's hard. I mean, like if someone's gonna like basically be like, oh, I can't deal with that, but then like what are you sort of offering like me to then like, you know, let me like sacrifice something which is, I don't know, like a career, I guess, that I'm going into, like to make myself money and to make myself feel like I'm independent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like if a guy's gonna basically tell me like, oh yeah, you can't do this, like to be with me, like what are you then bringing me?
Well, yeah, I guess there's more than one way to make money. Like Babestation and OnlyFans isn't the only way you can make money, right?
No, it's not. But like, I don't know. I just feel like for me, I've tried so many different lines of work. Yeah, like you know, I'm coming like to my 30s now, and I just feel like this is the only thing that I've sort of like been able to do well in.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a guy, you probably wouldn't find that.
No, probably not.
You probably wouldn't find that. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think I agree. If a guy's coming to you and he's like telling you that you can't do this anymore, then I agree. Like, you should be. I think it's reasonable for him to be like, okay, I will look after you in that sense because I don't want you to do this anymore, right? If he's telling you. But obviously, you know, if a guy's just like, oh, that's cool, you do that, but kind of for me, serious relationship, that's just not. Do you know what I mean? Because I think guys are more sexually territorial than women in general. But I'm curious, like, what pool of men do you find yourself attracting now in that sense? Because you said that you feel that there's only a very certain demographic that, you know, that would date you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Like, I feel like I'm high in my standards a little bit, like, and just trying to date like people who are like open in that sense. But I do feel like I'm attracting like fucked up men. it's like these men are like fucked up.
When you say fucked up, how do you mean? Is that like a common theme or?
Drug dealers.
Okay.
Like just sex mad, like.
But you literally just said you're a sexual person. What do you mean? Like, you can't expect that your line of work isn't going to attract that kind of guy. Surely that's not a surprise.
I know, like I am, but then it's like, I don't know, like long term, is that something that, you know, is going to be right?
Wait.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so wait, hold on. So basically, the kind of guy that you're saying, you're like, long term, I don't know if that's what I want, is actually reflecting the kind of girl you are. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just, yeah.
That's so interesting. So I guess, okay, so here's a question. If you got to a point where you decided, okay, I know that that's not the kind of guy that I want to like build my next chapter of my life with. But in order to attract the kind of guy that you want, you have to give up what you're doing now. Because obviously the kind of guy who's not sex crazy and is sex open like that, he obviously will be looking for a partner who's not like that. More often than not. Yeah. So would you be willing, and it's not that you meet a guy and then you give it up, it's like you kind of have to give it up in order to attract that guy. Would you do that?
See, this is a thing, like, is it worth it for me to, I don't know, like, I mean, I've been in relationships like all my life, yeah. Like this is like my only time really that I've been like single, like throughout my whole, like, you know, like in my 20s and like now coming into like my 30s. I haven't really been single a long time. But I feel like from past relationships, like when I relied on people, like I relied on guys like too much and they just hurt me, they let me down. And it's like, now I've gone into this and I'm able to provide for myself. And it's like, is it worth me giving that up?
Yeah, but I mean, it's when you say rely on guys, do you mean like financially and stuff? And because now you're earning your own finances and you're kind of, like you said, independent, look after yourself.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Babestation isn't the only way to earn money. You could get a different kind, you could go into a different line of work to earn money. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many ways to earn money nowadays.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like, would you be willing to make money elsewhere that isn't, you know, in this sexual lifestyle to attract the kind of guy that you want?
Yeah, probably. I think like because I'm in this stage now and it's probably like, oh, everything's all like new, you know, I haven't really been single that long and like I'm literally like just loving it at the minute, like making my own money and just not having any shit like to take off of anyone. Yeah,
of course.
But then obviously, yeah, like long term, I think I would have to think about things like if this is going to make me happy like long term, you know.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this kind of work for?
Not that long, to be fair, like a year and a half.
Oh, so you're still relatively...
I'm still quite new.
As in like Babestation year and a half or cam work? I mean like just cam work, everything.
Yeah, like cam about, like 2 years. So that's when I started on the other site about 2 years ago. And then obviously I got into Babestation and that was about a year and a half ago.
Were you in a relationship when you started?
Yeah.
Okay. How did he take that?
Well, this is a thing, like this relationship was a bit mad anyway. Like I was with him for like 7 years.
Oh wow.
It kind of, I don't know, it kind of fucked me up a little bit. But like I was very like closed off when I first got with him. I was quite like a shy, like really closed off like girl, and like I literally looked up to him and I just like I loved him so much. And then like I feel like he took advantage of like my kindness, and he just like would go and like talk to other girls behind my back, and like I would always think to myself like, oh, why are you doing that? And then he'd kind of like say things to me like, oh, like it didn't mean anything, like you're the girl like that I'm with or like I want. It's like, well, if I am, then why are you texting other girls? Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, and then like it would just go on like, I don't know, say like 3 or 4 years down the line, and then I'd see it again, and then it's like, and then I'd see it again, and it's like, you know, it just keep happening. And I'm just like, why is this guy?
Were you guys
like
in an open relationship? I'm guessing you weren't.
No, but then like obviously that would happen, and then like it came to a point where like I like found the confidence to like do camming and stuff, because camming had always been a thing that I wanted to do, like from I don't know, like when I was like in my like early 20s.
Right.
I really just wanted to do camming, but I never had the confidence to do it.
Interesting.
Like I changed like my whole face, believe it or not.
What do you mean?
Like I had 2 nose jobs. I had like fillers and stuff in my face, like, so
I can tell. I mean, I can tell.
Yeah, so I didn't have the confidence like back then. And then obviously when I did find my confidence, I then signed up to a cam site. And then when I was with the guy I was with, he was quite like, he was all right with it. He was like kind of like, I don't know, it kind of like turned him on a little bit.
Okay.
And then I started like, I didn't know that he was like this until that time.
Yeah.
And then he would like come out with all these like fetishes that he had, and I was like, why was this never spoken to me before? But he was like, oh, because you were very like,
he didn't know if you had it in you.
Yeah. And he was like, because of like the way that I acted, and I'd get like really jealous like really quickly, or like I'd see him like doing things like, well, obviously he shouldn't have done that, but it's just the way that, maybe the way that I was with him, like I was so like jealous and like maybe a little bit over possessive sometimes.
Were you?
Yeah, I agree. I have been in relationships when I was younger. Yeah. But like now I've grown up, I kind of think like, oh, like it's not the right way to be.
So have you been in a relationship since him?
No.
Okay.
No, this was my last relationship.
Okay. So do you think if you got into a relationship, because you said you think you'd want something more open because of your line of work.
Yeah.
But that would be such a dramatic kind of shift for you in terms of being in a relationship where if you're used to being someone, and thank you for being honest, you know, let's having an open, honest conversation. If you're someone who's quite territorial when you're with someone, to then go to open, I guess, have you dated guys where you've tried it being open, even if it wasn't serious?
Yeah, so this is what I mean. I feel like it's weird, like how I was like that, and I don't know if like if I'm just saying this now because I've got no feelings left like for anyone at the minute, but like because you know like when you've got feelings for someone, it's kind of different, isn't it? It's kind of like you do get a bit territorial and stuff. Of course. But like when I was with like my previous ex, and he'd like come out with things like, oh, like want to see you like with another guy and stuff like this, and then I feel like it's kind of made me be that way in a sense, like
from how he was, or
not so much I'd want to see the guy that I'm with sleeping with someone else, but like it wouldn't really like I wouldn't mind it as much as what I did before. But it's weird because you know like I've watched your things before, and you know when you say like who you hang around with, you sort of become.
Yep, they influence who you become. That's true.
Is that what's happening to me?
It could be a thing. It could be. Well, I guess if you've stepped into this kind of sexually free world, essentially, where, to put it bluntly, sex is more of an act of play or even a commodity to sell.
Yeah.
And so I guess naturally you kind of place less value on sex within a relationship, which makes you more open to having an open relationship. But I guess you kind of have to have, if you're going to be having sex kind of online, you're kind of selling that, right? If that's your content, then you kind of do have to have a different kind of value placed on sex in order to do that. Because obviously if you were like, I don't know, if you were like quite religious and you're like, oh, I only believe sex should happen in the sanctity of marriage, there's no way you could do what you wanted to do, right? Yeah. So I guess the value of sex in your circles is very much different to maybe how it was for you before, which is why maybe you're kind of like, okay, actually, because I kind of place less value on sex within a relationship, now you're kind of more open to, you know, your partner exploring it with someone else. Does that make sense? Would you say that's fair to say? What do you think? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What's something you'd like to ask today, bring to the conversation?
Like guys, I feel like this is a thing, right? So a guy can never like just be committed to one person, can they? Like why do guys always feel like, I know like they're not looking they're not touching another girl, but they can look sort of thing. They always say, oh yeah, like I like to look at other girls, but like I feel like from a woman's perspective, like a woman can be happy with one man for like a very long time, for the rest of her life. A man, can they?
Okay, when you say be happy,
just like looking, like basically looking at that guy.
Do you mean in terms of attention, or do you mean in terms of
attention?
Sex?
Yeah, like everything. Like they could be obsessed with a guy for their whole life.
I get that. I would make a bit of an argument to say that I think, especially today, because we've grown up in social media and attention is the most valuable currency right now, and validation. Yeah. Even when a girl's in a relationship, a lot of girls still want to be able to acquire attention from other men, even if she's not interested, because it makes her feel good. Does that make sense? It's like every time we post anything online, we are doing it for validation, guys included. Yeah. Like anything kind of, oh, I'm just posting for myself. Nah, because if the photo was just for you, you would just keep it in your camera roll and you'd look at it and be like, oh, great, I really like that with me. And then you'd put it down, right? But when you post anything online, it's because you want other people to see, because we look for validation. Like I said, guys, we do it as well. But in answer to your question, can guys be happy with one woman? If you're talking emotionally, 100%. Yeah. But I'm guessing you're talking sexually.
Like visually, like...
Visually? As in like a guy shouldn't find any other woman attractive?
No, not that they shouldn't find another woman attractive, but like I feel like guys, like say like you come to like 5, 6, even like 3 years down the line, right? Yeah. This guy's gonna like get bored of you and like look to text another woman. That's how I feel.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's the case for most men. If you're saying, will guys find other women attractive outside of you? Of course, 100%. Like that's going to happen. Yeah. And that's going to happen on your end as the woman as well. It's just the only difference is you don't find most guys attractive. Like out of 100 guys, you probably find 3 guys attractive.
Yeah.
So you could be with your boyfriend, but if you're in a room of 1,000 people, you'll probably find a handful of guys in there attractive that you might just be like, oh, wow, he's a gorgeous looking man. Do you know what I mean? Whereas guys, out of 100 women, you'll probably find anywhere between 20 to 40 attractive. So it's just that more women meet the threshold of looking good to him than typically a woman. So it seems like he's looking at more, but it's just because they qualify easier. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, you should have respect. So you shouldn't be texting other girls. I think that's wrong. And I don't think guys need to do that. But do guys have an innate desire for sexual variety? Yes, they do. They do. That is true. Does that mean that it's okay for him to act on it if he says he's not going to? No. But I think what happens is, first, most guys can't have sexual variety. Most guys don't get women in general. But if a guy does kind of have options, he's willing to sacrifice the pursuit of that desire for something greater. And that usually comes in the form of kids, building a marriage, building a life with someone, where he's like, I recognize this is the desire that I have, but this is worth sacrificing for the sake of the bigger picture. Whereas I think generally in comparison, I don't think women have an innate desire to be sleeping with multiple men all the time. Well, you tell me, do you? Have you ever had that?
Well, no, I don't think so. But like,
what about when you came out of a relationship? Were you not curious about other guys?
But this is what I mean. Like, now that I've come out of it and now that I'm doing what I'm doing,
it's like a kid in the candy store.
I've gone like the complete other way. And because I've been in relationships like my whole life,
yeah, of course,
I've kind of like missed out on doing this when I was younger. So now it's kind of like,
I get that. Now
I'm literally just running wild.
You're just running wild. What's the craziest story you've had since coming out of that relationship?
Well, I met some guy. I went on a date with some guy, right?
Yeah.
And he took me to like, a really nice restaurant, like top end restaurant. Literally paid for it all. Like, was just like so charming with me. And like we got back to the hotel, and
pre-booked?
Yeah, he booked this hotel.
Already,
yeah. He booked the hotel, took me out to this like amazing restaurant. And then when we went back, obviously like, you know, like you get with someone and you're like having sex and stuff. But like we did have these chats like before like we actually had the date. But like,
so did you know that you were probably going to hook up that night? And you both kind of decided like, yeah, we'll go out and then we'll come to the hotel.
Yeah, but I didn't know what was going to happen next.
Oh, shit.
But like we did have some conversations about this, but I didn't think it was going to happen on the first date. So like basically what he did is like we obviously like we had sex like a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then like it got wild, like we were so drunk, and then he arranged for someone else to come and basically fuck me in front of him.
Fuck you in front of him? He arranged another guy?
Yeah, so this guy come into this hotel.
So this guy is like, he was like a cuck, essentially.
Well, yes and no sort of thing. But he basically like tied me up and put a blindfold on me, and then this other guy
you woke up and he was just a different person in the room.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Were you not like, what the fuck?
I was, but I kind of liked it. It was kind of like,
listen, do you, man?
Crazy.
Did that? So wait, hold on.
I've never ever done something
so
like
many
that.
Questions. So this other guy, did you know who this other guy was, or you didn't? It was just someone he knew.
No, he didn't even know them.
Leila, that's reckless. That's dangerous.
That's what I mean.
This other guy could have kidnapped you and sold you in the Middle East to someone. That is mad. So who was okay? So the guy you were intentionally there with.
Yeah.
What did he look like, and then what did the other guy look like? I want to know if he was like the same or like completely different.
Well, he was white and the other guy wasn't. So like they were completely different. He was like,
the other guy black?
Yeah, he was black. Yeah.
It's always the case. It's always the case.
Yeah.
Did you find the other and did I have so many questions in my head coming at once and I can't choose one. Both of them at the same time?
It did get to that stage, yeah.
And how many times had you met this guy?
That's the first time I met him. So I mean, that's
Leila,
really
that's reckless
crazy
behaviour.
I know.
Hey, at least you came out having fun unscathed. What did you learn about yourself in that experience?
Fucking hell. Up for anything.
If your boyfriend knew what you're doing now, would he be like super surprised, or would he be like, yeah, I saw this coming?
What do you mean, my ex-boyfriend?
Well, you know the guy who you started cam with and you're like, he kind of enjoyed it. If he knew what you were doing now, would he be like, yeah, I kind of saw it come? Or would he be like, wow, this is completely different to the Leila that I knew?
He would probably think a part of him was like, yeah, I kind of see it coming, but then only like from what I've been like. But like from previously, like when I was like, you know, in my early 20s, he'd probably like never imagined I would have done something like that. But like now, maybe he expects it now.
Yeah, that is so crazy. I want to ask you something. So now you've kind of started, you know, this redemption arc, this new arc in your life. What's one thing that you say you've learned about men since kind of exploring this kind of sexual world and freedom in that sense that you didn't know before?
Wow, men. There's just so many things about men now I didn't know before.
Good or bad? He's like 99% horrific.
I don't know. It's like all these fetishes and stuff. It's crazy, like what people have. Like,
what's the weirdest fetish you've done for a guy? Apart from fucking absolute stranger that you didn't know was coming.
I don't know. There's so many weird things. Okay, there's like guys that are just into like pegging and things like that as well, and like they've got wives and stuff, and they're like, I just want to be pegged, and I'm like,
do they pay you for that?
Well, I am actually going to be doing a scene to peg someone, yeah, and I'm getting paid for it.
Out of curiosity, you don't have to share this, but I'm just curious. What's the fee? What's the not you have to say your fee. What's the standard fee for a guy to be like, hey, I want you to peg me and my wife is going to film?
Probably between £500 to £1,000.
To ruin your asshole. Damn. These guys, they must have life on easy mode if that's what they want. That is so interesting. Okay, so do you think that the kind of guy that you wanted before is different to the kind of guy you want now because of your experiences and kind of what you've kind of discovered about yourself and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like, is that right for me? Like, is that right? Like, not even just for me, like, but is it just right?
As in, is right what you're doing or the guy that you want?
Yeah. Like,
well, both. Just both.
Like, yeah, just like both. Like, am I like literally steering in the wrong direction? Am I just going to attract someone now who's just really bad?
When you say bad, what do you mean?
Just not going to be faithful, going to just be like letting me down all the time, someone who's not reliable, someone who's not really committing.
Would you be with a guy who was like, he was reliable, loved you, cared for you, saw a future with you, but obviously he's from the world that you're in now, and he's like, well, if you're going to be with me, you're going to have to get used to me having other girls over and having sex with them and stuff.
Yeah,
You'd be with him?
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was doing the same thing, then I could allow it. Yeah, like I could probably be happy with someone as long as like there's boundaries set and, you know, we both know each other's boundaries and we know like, you know, what we are, and there's no like lies or like sneakiness, anything like that. Then
would you want to know about the other girls, or would you be like, do it in your own time?
I mean, there was a part of me like previously was like, I don't want to know about it, but I feel like now I could probably know about it. I mean, like if you sort of go into that and you're both into that anyway, I feel like it's quite different to when you've been with someone and then it just changes and then you're like, oh, now I'm going to be sleeping with other women.
I think it's much harder to do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've already gotten used to having this person for yourself sexually. And now suddenly they're like, I want to share this energy that we've had with other people. And you're like, it changes the whole dynamic.
Exactly, yeah.
What would it take for you to be with a guy where he can have sex with other women, but you are exclusive to him?
Oh, wow. Really? What? So I can't sleep with anyone else?
No. But you even said to me yourself, you're like, women don't need that. As long as you're with the guy, like, you could be content with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, this guy would have to like be giving me a lot.
When you say a lot, like, what does that mean? Support.
Like just everything. Like he'd have to, like support me in anything that I wanted to do. Like, I don't know, emotionally, financially, just be.
Why financially? Someone. I don't disagree with you, but why?
Because
if you can work another job and you can earn money yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I could work another job, but could I earn as much working another job as what I can do?
If you worked really hard, you probably could. It's a much harder grind than being half naked on cam, but you can do it.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot. Like if he's doing something that I'm not allowed to do, it's kind of like, it's not equal, and it's.
Yeah, but the relationship would be equal anyway, because you'd be relying on him and he would be providing protection and providing for you, right? So it's not like you're providing for him. So like it's already not equal. He's already kind of taken responsibility to look after you. So just from that, it's already not equal. Yeah.
I mean, I could think about it. I wouldn't be completely like closed off to it.
Okay. You hear that, fellas? She's open to it. So if you see her on Babestation, give her a call. Not on that line though, otherwise you're going to pay through the nose. Or maybe you should, because that's what she wants. This is a bit of a difficult question. What do you see yourself doing after kind of Babestation stuff? Because a lot of girls that I've talked to who are in this line of work, they've all expressed there's a shelf life. Like you can't be doing this into your 40s, right? Do you have an idea of what you would like to do after? Or
yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like I have been thinking about that a lot. I mean, I've only like fallen into this industry, like I said, like within the last year and a half, 2 years. So it's like, I know that beauty fades, and
for everyone, guys included.
Yeah. it kind of gets to that point where you're like, oh, like, I need to think about something else, what I can do. Like, to be fair, now that I've had a taste of that and like working for myself, I don't think I could go and like work for someone else, like companies as such. Like I've worked for people all my life, and now I've had that taste of being like self-employed, doing my own thing. It's kind of like I have to think about things like, what else can I do? Like I used to do like look after people's dogs when they go like abroad and stuff like that. So that's a good business that I've been thinking about. I could maybe just pick anything up like that I can think of, like which is going to be like my own sort of business. There's always like, you've got to think outside the box and like try and see what works for you. Of course. But I've not thought like deeply into it, but obviously like I am starting to think of like, what can I do? Like I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do after this, but I
think the reason I ask is because kind of like you said, you've grown accustomed to kind of working for yourself, earning good money. And if I'm just being honest, you're earning good money without having to do, it's not that you don't work hard, but it's not hard work. In comparison to other professions. It's like, you're not like doing heart surgery, or you're like, you're not a lawyer working 80 hours a week. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, you don't have to study to do this. Do you know what I mean? You do have to be attractive. You have to look after yourself, and there's the hours you're putting in that sense. But in terms of the amount of money you can earn doing that in proportion to other industries, I would say the grind isn't as hard. Or you tell me.
I mean, yes and no. It can be. Like people think that this line of work is not hard at all.
Not that it's not. No, it's not hard.
It's hard. But you got to like market yourself, I think, and you got to bring something different, because so many girls are doing it now.
So many
people, honestly, in it, and it's like.
I feel like, is it almost oversaturated at this point, or?
Yeah.
Would you recommend like a 21-year-old to get into it now?
Yes and no. I feel like it's a good side hustle, but you should always have something else. Like,
So not make it your main thing.
Yeah, like unless you're, you know, gonna, I don't know, blow up and be famous or something like that.
Yeah.
Then yeah, like, you know, you could get thousands, millions of people to subscribe to you and you'd just be fine like for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I think like being like that young, you've got so many opportunities, like you've got so many things like in front of you. You can think about trying before you go down this route. Like, I'm not saying don't do it, like do it, but like also have like something in mind, like something else that you can do, and also just be wary, like once you put stuff on the internet, it's
there forever.
It's there, yeah.
Do you feel there's a level of stigma that comes with that, being that kind of girl?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Is it like from everyone, or is it mainly just guys?
Yeah, I think like even girls can look down at you and be like, oh, like she gets her tits out, or like, you know. Really?
What kind of, like, just other random girls, or like girlfriends of guys you know, or
yeah, like some, obviously, like there can be like girls who are like, oh yeah, like it's great, like, you know, like some girls just literally can just be like so nice about it, but then there can be like girls who just stick their nose up at it and they're like, oh, like I can't believe you do that sort of thing. And it could be, yeah, it could be like anyone, like, you know, girls that have got boyfriends because they don't want their boyfriends to be looking at you.
So true. They're like, I don't want you hanging around with Leila anymore. She's too dangerous. But I guess, you know, it's they're trying to mitigate risk to their relationship. And like we said, a guy can be in a relationship, but that doesn't mean he doesn't find other women attractive. And I guess it's like, I guess in their head, it's like, well, if they kind of see you as very sexually free, not placing as much value on sex as they do, it's just easier for him to branch out. But then if he's going to cheat, he's going to cheat. Yeah. But I get that. That's interesting. What's something else you'd like to ask? That brings conversation.
Like, what? Like, you know, like when, say for instance, like if you're single, you're a guy and you're like dating girls and whatnot, and then like, I don't know, like is this just like like guys sort of come and say to me, they're like, oh, like, you know, I'd be chatting to them for like the first 2 or 3 days and whatnot, and they're like, oh, like you seem too good to be true and like all this kind of stuff, and they're like, literally they say everything they can to like, you know, get out with you and go out with you, and then like once they've gone out with you and you've met them like that once, and they're just kind of like distant after that. And it's like, why would you like say to me that I'm everything that you'd want in a relationship, but then act distant after you met me? Like,
okay, so the first question I'd ask is, are you having sex with them the first time that you meet them? I mean, I
think you know that question.
I think I guess, but I have to ask it. I can't assume. I'm gonna ask. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the problem?
That's a big part of it, yeah. And when you say the kind of chat that you're having before you meet with these guys, is it very kind of building emotional intimacy, or is it very much like sexual foreplay? Is like, how much of it is like sexting and being like, oh yeah, I like doing this and we could do this and all that stuff?
I mean, some of it, yeah, is obviously sexual, but not the whole thing. Like it would be like, we'd just talk about like the general things, like how your day's been, what you've been doing, like talk about past relationships, experiences, stuff like that. Yeah. And then, yeah.
Okay. It's mainly that, and you sleep with them on the first date. Because a big part of why they're trying to say all the right things to meet you is because they're probably like, oh, this is a really hot girl that I can have sex with and I don't really have to do much. We just have to go out once. And while most guys would definitely indulge in that, when they're looking for something long term, that's something that the boyfriend side of him is definitely not looking for. If you think like guys have two sides to themselves, they've got the boyfriend side of them, like the husband side, and then they've got the casual fun side. And from the sounds of it, you've been appealing to that casual fun side to them, not the boyfriend side to them. Now, obviously, it's not okay if they lie. If they're like, oh, I think we could do this, blah, 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 all of this. Some of it can be intentional because a lot of guys will just try and say what they think the girl wants to hear to get her into a position where she's intimate with him. But there's something, and I'm going to call it lust goggles that guys have, especially with a girl that they're attracted to. You know how we have like beer goggles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you get drunk, you have sex with someone, you wake up the following morning, you're like, whoa, now that I'm sober and I see you, I actually would not have done that if I'd known. Guys have lust goggles with girls that they're attracted to. And so a lot of the time, they don't realize that a lot of the investment that they have is actually purely from a lustful place, not an intimate place. So then they have sex with a girl, and it's only when a guy has sex that he realizes how much he does or doesn't like her, whether he does like her or not, like who she is, or whether he's like, oh, I see something more with her. Quote, quote, post-nut clarity. Right? Have you heard of that?
No.
You must know what that is. You know what post-nut clarity is?
No.
No? Well, that's basically what it is. Like a guy has sex with a girl and then the lust goggles come off and he goes, oh, do I like her? Or was I just sexually attracted to her?
But does that then mean that he just didn't like her in bed?
No. Because he could like her in bed and be like, oh, this is someone who I can have casual fun with. So I'd be very surprised if they're attracted to you and, you know, you guys have sex and stuff, that he's not going to hit you up again. But he'll be hitting you up for sexual play and not really much outside of that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe you've had this, where you've been chatting to a guy, you meet up, you have sex, you have a nice fun night together, you didn't hear from him for about a week and a half, and then suddenly he texts you, hey stranger, what are you up to this weekend?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Has that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like he's hitting you up again for sexual play. And the reason he stopped making an effort is because it's kind of like, not always, but a lot of the time, once a girl has sex with a guy, assuming that they both had a good time, she's like a sexual option to him. Does that make sense? So he doesn't have to put in the work to have sex with her again. Yeah. He doesn't need to talk to her. He doesn't need to like plan a fun experience for them together or anything. He'll just hit her up and be like, oh, hey. And especially if guys kind of know that's kind of what you do and you're very chilled in that sense, for them, it's like you're the perfect friends with benefits in their eyes.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? But if you know, I would say, I always think it's better to not have sexual talk before the first date, because that puts him in that frame of mind. And you definitely do not have sex on the first date if you are looking for something serious. Because for most guys, there will be some guys where you having sex with them, like the first time you meet them, they won't disqualify you as a potential girlfriend. But a lot of the time, the guys who will still very much commit to a girl who like has sex with her straight away are the guys who don't have many options. And so like, wow, this is a girl who's attracted to me and I can have sex with, I need to hold on to her. But guys who do have options, who are desirable, which I assume is the kind of guy that you would probably want, for a lot of the time, that would make them go, okay, cool, she's great for fun, but not long term. Because there are other girls who don't do that. Do you see what I'm saying?
So if a guy like that is going to think long term, they're going to want to like, say like you go on a date with them and then that's it, you just like have a date and then you'd like go home, and then what, you think that would make him text more and like want to see you again? Yeah, because it's about building the physical intimacy as you build the emotional intimacy. If you jump into the physical intimacy straight away, all that says to a lot of guys, is that, okay, she does this very easily, and every guy's worst fear is being cheated on. Because especially if he's going to consider you to be the mother of his kids, because guys don't want to raise children that they find out later aren't theirs. These are things that guys think about. And every relationship, you go through rough patches. Do you know what I mean? There'll be times you go up and down. You're in a 7-year relationship. There'll be times where you were great and then you went through a rough patch. What a guy doesn't want to be worrying about is when you're going through a rough patch, you're like, I'm going out with my girlfriend. She's like, oh, I know she can meet a guy that night and have sex with him. Yeah, I don't want that risk. These are things that guys think about. So it's not that
okay, you can't do anything. But just like the first date, maybe you have a kiss and that's it. And then the second date, you actually do something. And then, you know, you have a fun experience. And then maybe the third date is more of a kiss and, you know, more of play and stuff. And then maybe you spend a night around his. And if you do, you don't have sex. The first night you spend with a guy, you do not have sex. You can do stuff, but you don't give it all away. Because for him, he's progressing to what he wants. And as he's progressing to what he wants, he's going to be investing more in you. And the more he's investing in you, the more attached he's growing to you. So then when you do have sex and those lustful goggles come off, he goes, shit, man, like I really like her. She's really cool. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but do you know how hard that is when you're like really sexual like me?
I get that. But, okay, when it comes to sex, who has the power, men or women? Who says yes to sex?
I feel like men initially, yeah, but like sometimes I feel like now I've got the power.
I think women have the power when it comes to sex. Like you decide who has sex, right? Because usually a guy's always up for it, and it's up to you to say yes or no.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like yeah, I guess women are like more in control of it. Yeah.
So in that sense, with power comes responsibility. So I get you're like, oh, I'm a very sexual person. This is hard for me to kind of say no in that sense. But for a long-term relationship and choosing a life partner is that important to you, then this is something that's worth doing for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we have to be our own parent and be like, I know this is what I want, but this is actually what I need. And that's more important.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Let me ask you something. What do you think, what would you say that a man who wants to attract a woman like you, what would you say to a man, what would he need or what would he need to demonstrate in order to attract a woman like you?
Just emotional stability, financial stability.
Financials.
It's always got to come up.
Financials. Is money that important to you?
I mean, it wasn't at one point.
Okay.
It really wasn't, and I just feel like I just went wrong, like with guys, because like when it wasn't anything that was important to me, and like love and all that was just like the thing which was like number one for me. Yeah, just got hurt, man. I just feel like now, like if someone's gonna like hurt me, at least they've like been able to provide for me. Like, I don't know, like I just feel like nowadays, like, you know, guys just need to bring something.
So is it because you were hurt before, you're like, now money's gonna make that pain less painful?
Yeah, a little bit, but like also it, like in the same sense, I say all of these things, right? But then it's like I was also in a situation where a guy did provide for me, but it put me in like a really bad situation because this guy had all the power, he had all the control. Like he literally could literally do anything to me and I couldn't escape it. So it was a bit like, you know, obviously I want to have my own stuff at the same time, but then I also feel like this guy's got to have a lot going for him. He's got to be like, it's not even that he's just financially stable, but like that would just come because of like the person that they are, because they're just like, you know, independent and they're not dependent on anyone else, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, I think like a guy's got to, like for me, a guy's got to have romance as well. Like, and I feel like with romance, you've got to like be able to take someone on like special dates and like, you know, you've got to have money for that kind of stuff.
So the guy who is a romantic, he's heavy on love as opposed to like the financial side of things. Not saying he can't be financially stable, but that's not going to be something that he leads with. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he probably, first of all, I don't think guys should take girls out to fancy restaurants on the first date.
Really?
Yeah, I think it should be a coffee date.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Because you don't know if you like each other. And like, one, a dinner date, if you get through the starter and you already know that, you realize, I'm really not vibing with this person. You got to sit through the main and dessert, and then you might try and compensate by getting drunk. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a coffee date, hour, very chilled, you're both sober, see if you actually like who the person is, and then invest in like take them out or something. Do you know what I mean? Would you rather pay on the first date or have sex on the first date?
I'd rather have sex.
With a guy that you're not interested, that you're not attracted to. So imagine you're on a
someone
first
I'm not
date.
attracted to.
Yeah, so you go on a first date with a guy, you meet him, and you're like, I'm not that attracted to him. I don't really like him that much. So you either pay for the whole date, you pay for him, and you go separate ways, or he pays for you, but you have sex with him. Which one would you rather?
I don't know. Like, I could probably pay for it, you know? Like, it's not that.
So you'd rather pay for him than have sex with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised. Am I surprised? Am I surprised? No, I mean, that would make sense. I think most girls would rather pay.
Yeah, but yeah. I think there's probably an element like, you know, like some girls, because I'm really not like that girl who's like, you know, oh, I need to be with someone who's got loads of money. Like, I've never been that girl, but I just feel like I'm kind of trying to take a twist or like a different direction to what I was before, because that just never got me anywhere.
Yeah. How do you know whether you are, is there a possibility that you gave the right kind of love to just the wrong guy? And it's not that you gave love over caring about the financials that's wrong. It's just that the person you gave it to was just not right for you. But the guy who is right for you is the guy who's going to love you, appreciate and respect you for that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I think sometimes I completely get what you're saying. You're like, well, this is my experience. So now because I need to mitigate that risk of that, now I require this. I completely understand that. Yeah. But I think sometimes we can give the right treatment to the wrong person, which then makes us give the wrong treatment to the right person. People, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? So is there a possibility of that in you, do you think?
What, like that's what's happened? Or?
As in like, yeah, you've been like, okay, well, the reason things messed up was because I loved too much and I didn't ask for enough. Yeah. So now I'm going to love less, ask for more. And that way, if I get hurt, at least I got something out of it. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Is that fair to say, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the way it's gone.
So is there any kind of guy, what if you met a guy that you could be head over heels for, like you were previously? Do you think you'd relax the kind of he has to provide for me standard? I'm not saying a guy shouldn't provide, but I'm just kind of asking you.
Yeah, I probably could. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm finding it hard, like, to think about whether that can happen again. Like, I don't know. It's hard.
To be fair, 7-year relationship, and that was what, 2 years ago? Did you come out of it, or?
No, it was about a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need more time, I think, for yourself. Like 7 years is a long time. Yeah, it's a long time. Were you ever tempted to cheat while you're in that?
No, I wasn't.
Not even tempted.
I think like no, I wasn't tempted, but like towards the end of the relationship, I didn't want to be in it anyway. Like, I wouldn't have really classed this as cheating because like it was just horrible. Like, I was going through like a lot of shit with him. Like he'd like basically do things to me and like mess up my head, like a little bit like mental abuse and stuff. And like I was trapped in that place and I didn't really know what to do with myself. And this was like literally like very sort of close to the end of the relationship anyway, and we was like constantly at each other's throats and we're not together, like you need to move out, you need to get your stuff like and go like ASAP. And then this was the first time I'd slept with anyone else. And like that was, I think it was around about that time when when he come open about like he wanted me to like sleep with other guys. And then, yeah, he had like a fetish that he wanted to see me like basically fuck dick in front of him. And like, I don't know, he even would like have conversations with me like he was like, oh, you know, like it turns me on like to think about you with another guy, and there was this scenario, like it's a real person as well, and we would talk about this guy, and obviously I found this guy very attractive. I'd known this guy for a little while. I'd known him a bit longer than what I knew him for, like my ex, but like nothing ever happened between me and him. And then like one of my friends at the time, her boyfriend, on-off boyfriend, that she was seeing, it was his best friend, and we...
Wait, your best friend, her on-off boyfriend was his best friend. Got you. So I had to do the mental gymnastics then. I was like...
Yeah, so the guy who I slept with was a guy I found attractive, but he, like, I'd known him for a while, but he was also my friend's on-off boyfriend's best friend.
Got you.
So we ended up together like this night.
Oh, you and this guy?
Me and this guy, yeah. We ended up like...
With blessings from your boyfriend?
No. But he...
Behind his back.
But he spoke about this with me, and he said that it would turn him on for me to do something like that.
Well, guess what, babe? I did it last week already. You missed out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, when this happened, like before these conversations and stuff like that, no, I would never have, like, I never wanted to cheat. I never had like the thoughts in my head of sleeping with anyone else. Like, obviously it got to like a very bad point in the relationship, which is why I seeked it from someone else, because I felt so shit and so low. I'm not saying it's like completely right what I done, because obviously I was still living with him and I didn't tell him, but I was a bit scared like what to say. But also I was a bit like, like I just felt like very, very trapped, and I felt very like, what's the word? Just like betrayed by him as such. Obviously it got to, sort of 6 years down the line, and like I just felt so like he just wasn't like my friend anymore. He wasn't my, my best friend, my lover. And then when I slept with this other person, it made them feelings like real for me, that this, this is not right. Like, I'm in this relationship with someone, I've been given like all my love to this guy, and he's just been basically taking the piss out of me.
It's interesting because you know how we were talking about, can a guy be satisfied with one woman and all this? This is exactly why I think cheating is different for men and for women. Because a guy can still be in love with you and sleep with someone else. I'm not saying it's okay for him to do that, but he can still be fully in love with you and sleep with someone else. Yeah. But when a girl cheats, it's because she's emotionally checked out of that relationship. Like, I don't think most women, there's always exceptions to the rule. Yeah. But I think it's like you said, most women, if they're loving their boyfriend, they're happy with him, they don't want to have sex with anyone else. It takes them, they have to emotionally check out. At what point, what was the point that for you in your head switched when you went, okay, I'm actually open to being physical with someone else now. I'm actually like thinking about it. I'm actually like fantasizing about it. What was the point? Was it when he was like, oh, I think about you doing this? Or was it when things were really bad? Did something happen and you're like, nah, like I'm starting to look at this guy in a very tasteful manner?
Yeah, I think obviously the element of him telling me that, that turns him on to think of me with someone else.
So that almost gave you psychological permission to start thinking about someone else in that way?
Yeah, but then also I feel like since I started doing camming, like that's when it came around. So obviously I started doing the camming, and then like, maybe like half a year down the line, I started feeling like, I wanted to maybe explore and stuff.
So it was from the cam work?
An element of it was like, it kind of like makes you... Because you're getting like so much attention, and especially like, I mean, before when I started it, when I wasn't that busy, and then when I started getting like really busy, and then like you get like, your regulars coming in, and then you get like all this attention. Yeah. You're kind of just like, like, I don't just want it from one guy anymore.
What, the attention or the sex? Or
the both? Attention. But like, I don't know, the sex as well, like, I guess it just sort of came from like him telling me like he was, getting turned on by that. And I think that then turned me on to like want to try and do that.
So interesting. So kind of what I said before then, because you're like, you started getting all this attention and then you realized attention from your boyfriend wasn't enough for you anymore.
I mean, it isn't, and it's not. I mean, it can be enough. Like, I could just have attention from one person.
Okay.
Like emotionally, and then set aside, like, obviously, like, you know, work is work. Like, that's just bringing me money in.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like, I don't know. I think like the sexual side of things, because maybe it's because I've missed out, like, you know, being in my early 20s, and I just was always in a relationship and I'd always been stuck to one guy. And I think now it's like this point in my life is kind of like I need to go wild and but yeah.
So I think it can be difficult to be honest and be like, look, I did this and it wasn't the right thing to do.
I mean, I am very honest because I did tell him about that. Like, I did actually tell him about it, but obviously it was when I'd moved out and I was like settled, like in my own place, and I came out with it to him. I said, look, like, this happened. It did happen. Yeah.
And, you know, commend you for taking responsibility, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? And being like, even though there was emotional justification for it, I recognized that was the wrong move to make. So I guess what I'd ask you is, if you were in that same situation again, how would you handle it differently?
I mean, I think a lot of it was to do with like the people who I surrounded myself with as well, because like that friend as well that I was friends with gave me a lot of bad advice. So like I sort of changed, and like that's something that I wouldn't have really done. I wouldn't have really liked to have done that. I would have, like, if I got in that situation again with someone, I would just be honest from the start, because I am a very honest person.
What would you say to them?
I'd just say, like, you know, like, this is not working, like, we need to like come to an agreement. But like, it just, I don't know, it depends on the person, because when I was in that situation and I kept telling him, like, you know, you need to give me time to move out, because who can move out straight away?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but he was very, very just like, he was not like supportive and not like, you know, letting me have my time to, I mean, obviously don't take the piss, but like, you know, it's hard to like find a place like to rent and such. Like, I was looking for 6-8 months before I could move out.
Oh wow.
It took
6-8 months.
It took a long time for me to find a place.
That's mad.
Because every time I kept trying to get a place, they would say, oh, it's gone. Like, I'd ring them up, it's gone.
Especially if you're in London,
around the area,
so
it's hard. But yeah, I mean, like, I would probably just have to have a conversation with the person and just be like, look, like, this is not working. Like, can we just come to an agreement? Like, you know, we're not together.
Yeah.
Just be like straight with each other and just be like, you know where we stand.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, you know, like I said, it's not easy being honest, but this is part of the journey of life. Do you know what I mean? Learning things along the way and seeing, okay, how best can we handle that even serves us long term. Do you know what I mean? You know, not just the people we should have respect for, but also it ends up serving us better as well.
Yeah.
Listen, Leila, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your energy today. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can just go to my Instagram page. Yeah.
What's your Instagram? Tell us your handle. You never know who's watching this podcast. It might be a guy who's gonna, you know, sweep you off your feet.
It's X Leila, but Leila's spelled Leilax.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool.
No, sorry, it's X Leila.
Yeah.
So Leila.
Yeah.
.L. So I nearly missed that bit.
X Leila.L.
And then X afterwards.
Another X. Yeah. She's got an X on both sides, baby. She's got X.
Don't forget
hugging
the
her
.L.
name.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Well, we appreciate you coming on, guys. Go show Leila some love. Give her a like. Give her a follow. She got some spicy content. So if you're, you know, if you want to check her out, have a check out. But if you want to be her man, that is not the avenue to take. It's not the avenue to take. Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you sharing your time with us today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And I will see you in the next episode.